tell me what you think might be wrong or what concerns you have about Prince Andrew, the news we have this week that he has got a new job and he is selling off the networks that he created under Pitch at the Palace for many years to a new Dutch-based startup company that is worth billions. Do you have any concerns knowing that we do about Andrew over the past couple of years?
I think the concerns I have are concerns that people have generally, whether or not they're in favour of the monarchy, because the way Andrew's behaving is out of order. Pitch at Palace was set up and people engaged in that, companies, individuals, because they wanted to help start-up businesses. They wanted to make sure that entrepreneurs were assisted. They wanted to make sure that the UK benefited as a country. They didn't join up in order to give Andrew a source of income for himself, private income. It was seen as a government, a public initiative. Buckingham Palace was used for this purpose. So that's the history of it. And the data belongs to those people who get engaged with Prince Andrew. It doesn't belong to Prince Andrew personally. And for him now to sell it off is disreputable, it's improper, it may be illegal. And I intend to file a complaint with the Information Commissioner to suggest that he's breaking data protection laws by using information given for one purpose for an entirely different one.
Well, he's got a lot on his plate there, hasn't he, Norman, when you put it like that? I mean, can we trust Prince Andrew over the years? Well, what has the last decade or so shown us? Because the situation, as I understand it, as we reported in The Sun on Sunday, is that he has a commercial deal with Startup Bootcamp, OK? And for each network that from Pitch at the Palace that he used to link through to Southeast Asia or to the Middle East, for each network, he then gets paid for that network, depending on how much they value it.
Yeah.
He's now getting enough money to tell the royal household that he has enough funds to stay at Royal Lodge. Can we trust what he's doing?
We can't trust Prince Andrew, and we haven't been able to trust him for about 20 years. We go back to the time he was Britain's trade envoy. It's very clear from his engagements in that time, he was acting not for Britain, he was acting for himself. He was doing private deals on the side, getting commission from dodgy dictators for particular activities at that stage. On the Pitch at the Palace, it turned out he was attempting to get 2% commission from deals which were being signed up to, which people, of course, were horrified by, and some people pulled out of Pitch at Palace when that became known. So Prince Andrew has been interested in Prince Andrew and not in the UK or anything else that he might have been representing, such as the royal family. I'm afraid he's a sleazeball. That's the truth of the matter. And he needs to be held to account for that.
Bronte, I mean, here's a guy who's 64 years old, and as Norman rightly points out, he has a history of questionable business decisions, whether it's for his own benefit or the palace's benefit or for the UK's benefit. Norman's gone through them quite candidly. But he's a 64-year-old guy that he needs money to stay in Royal Lodge. He needs to find a way to actually get some income.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, I think you said it all so well. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who disagrees, really. That is the truth. He's been given a lot of public trust in the past, and over the last 20 years has really squandered it with decisions he's made. So it's fair that this is happening now and that he doesn't have an official position. With that said, my concern is he is a person, exactly as you've said, that does need to earn an income in some capacity. He's the King's brother, so he's in an awkward position where we're probably not going to go see him step into a retail job or something a little bit more akin to, I guess, a commoner role like the rest of us. But with that said, he does need money. And when you cut off any chance of someone earning that money, and especially someone like Andrew, who has honestly the worst judgment really imaginable, what then does he do? Do we see another tell-all? Do we see him go even more rogue because he's been cut off? I don't know. It really is quite a complicated problem, and I don't know where it ends for him if he's not given any scope to earn money. But with that said, all of the concerns you've raised about this role specifically are completely valid. So it's very complicated.
He doesn't need to be in Royal Lodge. Royal Lodge is a 30-bedroom house. Why is he there? The King wanted him out. We know that. He refuses to go. So why is it that he's behaving as he does? He ought to show a bit of humility. He's no longer a working royal. He doesn't need that property, and he should be moving out of it. And that's the answer to his financial problems, to do that. But, his judgment is awry, apart from being rather arrogant, which he is, and actually not very bright, which he isn't either. He's also just greedy. That's what he is. And he's got no judgment in terms of who he dealt with. I was coming in today, Matt, to the studio and thinking, who has he dealt with over the years? Apart from Jeffrey Epstein, the paedophile, and his best mate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's now convicted and in prison. Let's have a look at the other ones. Timur Kulibayev, the son-in-law of the Kazakh dictator. He bought Andrew's house, Sunning Hill Park, for £15 million. He'd been on the market for £12 million. No one had been interested in it. Ghastly building, actually. He paid £50 million for it, and it then left to sit empty for years. Why did he pay over the odds? Why did he buy it? We haven't got the answer to that question.
We've never got the answers.
Never got the answer to that. Then we got Saka El-Matari, who was the son-in-law of the Tunisian dictator Ben Ali. He was described by the British ambassador to Tunisia as a crook. It's a word he used. Then we got Tarak Khatumi, convicted Libyan gun runner, who was giving a gift of £18,000 necklace, diamond necklace, to Beatrice. What was he doing? He took Andrew on holiday. Why was he doing that? What did he get in return? Did these people just love Andrew and want to give him money for nothing? No, they want something in return. We need to find out what it was. Then, of course, we got the accused Chinese spy Yang Tengbo, who has also been tied in with Andrew. The guy's got no judgment.
Well, I think the thing, just to clarify, Startup Boot Camp are a reputable company. Well, they're valued about £6 billion, and they help fund kind of startup companies around the world. But as you pointed out there, he has a long history of dodgy dealings, or with people who are with let's say, unsavoury reputations and unsavoury names. But what we understand is last summer, Startup Boot Camp came to meet the royal household and said, this is our plan for Andrew. We want to use these networks and we want to sell them. If it all goes wrong, this could backfire on the royal household and the king. It's not just Prince Andrew's reputation that is on the line here if things do go down.
Well, because it's as you said, it was a royal initiative back when it was launched, and the way that those contacts have been cultivated was through royal channels. So exactly as you say, if it backfires, it does all roads sort of lead back there once again for the king and the monarchy, and it's been a sort of endless problem, and you can't trust that it won't backfire for all the reasons we've just said.
A Startup Boot Camp that has been presented to the Chinese in particular as Andrew's personal investment vehicle. That's how they described it. So he's being used as a sort of royal symbol to give endorsement to what is being done. I'm sure Startup Boot Camp is a legitimate company, but they want Andrew because he still got some credit, amazingly, in some countries who don't know about him, presumably. And secondly, because he's got contacts which are worth having. That's why they want him, not because of any personal attributes he's got.
Ultimately, he's done this to stay in Royal Lodge, which, as you pointed out earlier, you know, as you pointed out earlier, you think he should maybe downsize, but ultimately, that's what all this is about: is to earn money to stop the king kicking him out.
Yes, and also this curious relationship with Fergie. He's never quite divorced, never quite married to her. She wants money. She's like a colander. We pour money on one side and it comes out through the holes at the bottom. She's got endless desire for money. So, you know, that's another source of income he needs to deal with.
Well, she's working very hard, Sarah. She's always got something that's happening. She's always got books to write or TV appearances.
She's got a podcast, and she's also, of course, on record as trying to sell access to Andrew.
Yeah.
But it is the case, exactly as you said. It's a 30-room building. They don't need it. I think it is just a case of pride. He doesn't want to be kicked out. It also, you know, publicly, it would be humiliating for him to have to leave, although I do think it is the time that he should. But I think overall it's a pride thing.
Well, it looks like whatever he's done here with Startup Boot Camp and earning all this money, it's given him a stay of execution, and he will be staying at Royal Lodge for as long as he has the money. Anyway, as long as the money keeps rolling in.
Incredible, it just keeps happening.